your queen, Pimp Sun Kiss, coming through right quick, right fast with a royale review and commentary for SWV XSCAPE, the Queens of R&B, episode 1. Now, y'all, this ain't gonna be that long. It's not gonna be no blow for blow. I'm gonna be touching on like my hot points of everything. Okay, so of course we start off with the pleasantries of everybody's intros. All of the ladies from both groups giving their origin stories or whatever. And if you go back, I put it in a playlist if I have not. But if you are, honestly, if you are a true fan of either of the groups, then you already know their origin stories because you've also kept up with the special reality shows that they've had, the performances that they've done, the unsongs, the this, that, and this, and okay? So I don't have to, speak too much on that. Also, when I did my review on Xscape's performance at the Soul Train Awards, I recited and did commentary on their origin story as well because they were honored at the Soul Train Awards. So we talked about all of that for Xscape over in that video, okay? Now, I'm gonna do some song breakdowns for SWV, and in that video, I may talk more about the details of their origin story, if that is what we must do. But most of you, more than likely, already know the gist of, what was going on. Teenage girls living in a cold world, singing their way out of hardship, out of poverty, take care of their kids, singing their way out of religion and singing their way back into religion, honey. Two groups of young ladies, strikingly multi-talented young ladies, beautiful young ladies that came together with their uniquities, with their talents to do unique and talented things and makes money and inspire people all over the world. And here we are. They coming back together on the backs of low-key, high-key social media. I mean, Xscape had their special back in the day. SWV also had their show the way that Salt and Pepper had their show. So I could probably say, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Salt and Pepper was kind of the kickoff group to have the reuniting reality shows of it all. So shout out to them. But now we got the merge. And the merge is off the backs of all that, but also off the backs of verses that they did. Okay? They did a verses. And baby, it was nice. It was real nice. And it got everybody talking about a joint tour because that's really popping and really trendy now too, and has been for the past couple of years. So the folks want a mash up crossover tour for SWV and Xscape. So this show is centered around them preparing, commiserating, and putting together that, and also trying to see if they gonna be able to do that, because we already know, should already know, that the voices are there, okay? The money is there, okay? The fans, the crowd are there. But what also is there is a whole lot of trouble. And SWV, as they also mentioned and clarified throughout their intro and in this episode, because they've been performing together for a good while. Xscape has too, but SWV got their stuff together a little better than Xscape did on the drama side. Xscape is often a backing and a forthing with it because they just can't seem to unpack the roots of their issues, child, and we're gonna talk about that. But SWV has found a good stride. They've gotten their dynamic together on the business side, so they are able to come together on business. And I would say on a personal as well. They just, apparently don't communicate. But we'll discuss that as we get into the business conversation that had happened was. First, I want to talk just a tad bit on the intros that stood out to me. Well, I'm going to touch on all the intros, but I'm going to talk more elaboratively on the intros that stood out to me. Okay, so I'm going to start with Lily. Lily is always refreshing, the free-spirited one of the group. I believe she is the youngest of SWV as well. And I feel like out of all the girls in SWV, I relate to Lily the most as far as friends that I've had. So Lily has always reminded me of one of my closest friends named Jasmine. Very adorable in the face, has very bubbly, refreshing energy, just cool, free-spirited, very very sweet, but will also get you together if needed, okay? But it takes her a lot to get there. So I like Lily. Lily is always giving us these very refreshing stories about her humble beginnings and how it helps her to remain humble in the constant newfound confidence that she comes across throughout her life. Because, you know, that's one thing that I love about her too, is the fact that she seems to never stop growing. She don't get to a point where she feels like she's beyond learning something new or beyond being humble. And so that's what's so refreshing about her, that she can be bubbly and confident and successful and talented and all of that, and own all of that and lead with all of that, but at the same time have her humility present and her bubbly sweet nature present all at the same time. So Touch, I feel like she's the owl of the group. She's got one of those glue type personas, auras, personalities where it seems like she's always, no matter where she is, no matter what environment it is, who she's dealing with, she's always that one that can hold everybody together, bring everybody together, like, and just make sense of everything for everybody. And I could see her being like, in regular life, I could see her being a really good manager. So like when people come into like a restaurant or a store or something and be like, I want to speak to the manager. I am upset. They did not handle me right. Taj could come in like, I am so sorry, ma'am. What seems to be the problem? Okay, let's calm down. Like, and I love that about her, because similar to Lily, it's both confident and humble simultaneously, all at once. It's very warm and motherly. Like Lily is more sisterly and Taj to me is more motherly. And I love it. Then you got Coco. I used to ain't like Coco very much at all, but she seems to have grown and loosened up a lot more this day and age, and it's showing through on this show, and I love it. I love her style. I've always loved her style. You know, the girls, they all got their style, but I always loved Coco's style the most. But I just ain't ever like her attitude like talking about. So I'm glad that they got their stuff and they ducks in a row, because the stuff that Tasha is bringing on, child, we didn't need Tasha and Coco doing the food all at once. So thank you, Coco, for your growth. But Coco in her intro let us know that she has been we learned more about her sons in the second episode, but Coco has been doing a lot of gospel, and she got like a line of something. Child, I have to clarify. I might leave a link in the comments or something. But yeah, she do a little something else on the side or whatever. But for the most part, she's still been singing. They still been singing with each other on tours, doing performances, all this, that, and the third. And seems like these days it's easier or more convenient for them to be mothers, be friends, and perform all at the same time. And that probably helps their relationship with each other as well. Because I think a divide between SWV and XSCAPE, the members of XSCAPE are a little younger than SWV. And I kind of mentioned this in the Soul Train video to them. But XSCAPE, their age range is more so in alignment with the era of, I think all of them are millennials, but XSCAPE is more so in the era of social media and reality TV. And they're in more of the section of millennials that are more outspoken. Therefore, how they see things and how they handle things is much more firecracker-ish than SWV. And that's not to say that SWV haven't had their stuff, because I'm very sure that they have, but you won't see it like talking about. You might sense it, but you won't see it. XSCAPE, on the other hand, because of that section of millennials that they are in, if something is going on, you're going to see it because somebody is going to say it. Somebody's going to say it. Somebody's going to show it. It's going to end up online. It's going to end up on a show, because that's the section of millennials that they're in. And so it adds extra layers to everything. And essentially, I would say, makes it more difficult for them to get past stuff, because once the arguments and stuff are taken on the internet or taken on a show, it can constantly be re-brought up. And if you don't have the emotional intelligence and capacity to not be worked up over it again once it's brought up, then yeah, that just makes it even more difficult. And of course, SWV had their show, but the way that they handled their conflict on the show, they didn't do, the most with it. And it didn't spill over onto social media like I'm out, because they just not in that, they not in that section of millennials that do that. You feel me? So yeah, so like, even though they came out around the same time, SWV debuted in 1990, XSCAPE debuted in 1991, but they are in two different sections of a generation. So I hope all that makes sense. So we're gonna kind of talk about XSCAPE's intros as a whole. Tamika seemed like the past couple of years what they've been doing has really been allowing for her to step out of her shell and to step out of the shadow of everybody that's around her. And I feel like Tamika has always naturally stood out because that's just how she is. She got that peacock energy. Also very free spirited, and it shows in the way that she styles herself, and it shows like, for a while I never saw Tamika be so, personable. She always came out more shy to me, like really shy, more soft-spoken in a way. But now she seems a lot more verbal, a lot more charismatic, and it's like you always knew it was there, but now you're seeing it, and it's great to see. It's great to see, and I feel like with that being said, it's gonna work to her advantage like a mug. And I already see it working to her advantage like a mug. I feel like God is in the midst of giving her flowers and redeeming her for all that she has done in her life. But we'll get to that. Something I want to touch on, child, we ain't got to do too much on Candy's intro. Y'all know about Candy. Y'all know what Candy been doing out here. Legs and hips and body. Let's get them, girls. She doing a remix for that, and I like the remix that she doing for it much better than like the originality of it all. Okay, yeah, but we here for it, and we here for her in the wig. It actually looks good on her. I don't like it on nobody else. It looks good on her. Tiny. We already know about Tiny too. Let me tell you about what I picked up on about Tiny and her intro. Now, I don't have no issue with folks with stepchildren claiming they stepkids as they own, right? I just kind of feel like you should also acknowledge that they have biological mothers at the same time. And the fact that Tiny introduced all of the kids as her 7 kids, it rubbed me wrong a little bit. It made me feel like Candy was being a little fake with it. It kind of made me feel like she cutting the other mothers out. It kind of felt like a slight to her stepkids' mothers. Maybe it's just me. I don't think it is, but that stood out to me. I feel like ain't nothing wrong with you saying I have 7 kids, but also acknowledge the other mothers. It just ain't look good to me. But maybe she felt the need to do that because for the past couple of years, her and T.I. and the dynamics of their family have been in major question. So she probably felt like it would be a better look to just be like, these my 7 kids. And that's not to say that I don't think, Tiny has a genuine love for those kids. It's just, what stood out to me. Anywho, so like I said, we get this scene over to Candy spot, and she up in there working on a song. And Tiny comes over, Tamika comes over at some point. But before Tamika gets there, Candy and Tiny is going through some unreleased songs that they got together. And for those of you who don't know, Candy and Tiny, after and in the meantime, in between time of the group being disbanded, they have written a lot of songs together, produced a lot of songs together, have done some artist development with different artists and things of that nature together. Some separate for other artists, but also together as a duo. And this is something that they started doing when the group first disbanded, or when they were working on their last album. So this is not a new thing that they have had going on. They've been doing this. And also I feel like this is kind of something that they are setting the foundation of presenting to us. And of course, many of us have already seen them doing this, continuing to do that over the years. But I believe that a part of their plan is that if this whole joint tour and all of that don't kick off talking about, that they gon' do a duo release, because they could do that now because they got the money to do it, independently, regardless of who like it, who think it'll pop off, whatever, what have you, seeing how it works and seeing, if the crowd will be interested in it, which I feel like many of us are. I am. So let's get it. But what I want to point out about this scene, so Tamika comes in and we get an update on the dynamic of everything, because when they first had their show, when they were first trying to reunite and everything, the beef was between Kandi. It's been a constant beef between Kandi and Tasha, of course, but Tamika was being involved, and of course, what we are learning more of through this show is that Tamika has always kind of been a back and forth and feeling the need to defend her sister and ride for her sister and trying to maintain her friendship with Tiny and Kandi all at the same time. And when it's just those three together, it's very happy-go-lucky, it's very bubbly, it's very much so a vibe, it's all good. But when Tasha comes into the picture, a dark cloud immediately enters the situation and the vibe immediately changes. She doesn't enter in this scene, but we'll get there when we get there, okay? Which will be just in a sec. But so what they catch us up to is basically letting us know that there is a new type of dissension between Tamika and Tasha. And it's a new type of dissension because it's something that has been building up, you could say, since childhood. Situation where Tamika has always been the Robin to Tasha's Batman, if you will. Always going along to get along with everything that Tasha does and says. Tisk. And headed in a situation where, now, I'm not going to tell no lie to you, y'all. I like Kandi. And if she did all of that hellacious stuff that they said she did, maybe that's her business. I don't care one way or another. But I do think Tamika lied about lying. So it was some rumors that Tamika, she didn't start them. A lot of more other folks in the industry and stuff have said that. But it made it different with Tamika saying it because she's somebody that's actually in the group and she's somebody outside of Tasha and somebody that has had a close friendship with Kandi that was saying it, and she said it on a radio show. So her and Kandi were beefed out, child, over there, and Tamika had to come back and say that she lied about it in order for her and Kandi to get back friends. And so that's how they commiserated. So in the midst of this new situation. So they had a performance, and they didn't say this on the show, but Tamika revealed it, she elaborated upon it more on her YouTube channel. They had a show, there was a shooting, show got ended early, canceled, all of that. They back at the dressing rooms trying to get their stuff and go. Was it Tamika and Kandi or Tamika and Tiny? Can't remember which one, but Tamika was in the duo of people who were locked out of their dressing room. Tasha and important parts of their team, the road manager and some more folks, left without making sure that Tamika and the other people that were left behind locked out were okay. Tamika sent a message basically directed at the people that are a part of their team, not necessarily Tasha, even though she had a grievance with Tasha that she was gonna nip in the bud. But the hit dog hollered, okay? Tamika put a text message in the group message saying, y'all that left us, this and that, da. And in her elaborate story on her YouTube, she specified that she was specifying that to the people who was on her payroll, the people that's part of the team. Tasha piped up and was like, you can kiss my ass. Tamika said if you had an ass to kiss. Now, very petty. This is something that very much so could have just gotten past if it wasn't for all the stuff that's been swept under the rug up until that point. Tasha also took it to heart of her saying if you had an ass to kiss, because Tasha has very understandable body image issues because society is trash, and the way that the industry and the way that the world can respond to people, specifically people who are plus size, is terrible. So I totally understand why she took that to heart. However, let's not start in the middle, Tasha, and let's not use that to deflect from you needing to take accountability for acting in a way that was disregarding to your sister. So even if she was directing that text message to everybody, including Tasha, it was rightfully so, because you were dead ass wrong. Not only as a group member, but also as her sister. Like, either way, I understand it, but the fact of knowing that there was a shooting involved, adds extra layers and validates Tamika's side even more. But yeah, in the midst of them telling that story, Kandi, basically, she says in so many words, child, let me not get too involved and let y'all handle that, because at any time, y'all could get back cool and then y'all will be ganging up on me again. Okay. And with that being said, I feel like there's a divine intervention happening for Tamika through all of these happenings. So we got another intro scene with SWV, and they are in rehearsal, and they are singing I'm So Into You. Hey, I'm so into you. Hey, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Hey, yes, I was introduced to that song through playing Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. But so yeah, they sound pretty good. I ain't gonna lie. It's giving a little rusty. I don't know how long they had been practicing. I don't know how long it's been since they had a practice. It was a little rusty, but they still sounded good. And of course, we know that when they step up on the show, okay, to perform, that everything is there as it needs to be, given everything that it was supposed to have gave. So we ain't worried about that. It's just, things ain't always perfect. Things ain't always perfect, okay? You got to build it up. Build it up. Okay, anyway. And good practice that, they are dancing full out as they are rehearsing. You got to practice how you perform so that, you know what I'm saying? In your rehearsal, it's the time to sound shaky. And if you allow yourself to sound shaky and fix it in rehearsal, then by the time you get to perform, it's going to be A1, period. So they conclude their rehearsal. They go to talk to their manager and whatnot. And he's telling them that everything is looking good. Everything is looking good off the backs of the verses and everything else that they've been doing. And everything is looking hot and ready for them to take off. All I got to do is commiserate with Escape and make sure that they get all the ducks in a row and everything gets balanced and stable and this and that and this and up. So real quick, we pick up in this scene where we are basically introduced to Tasha's son and her husband. That's how the country folks say husband, husband. But before we talk about her husband, let's talk about her outfits. Okay, now there's going to be another time, a couple of other times where I pull up her outfit because I just want to point out some things. Her arrested development shows in her outfits. Now, don't get me wrong. Ain't nothing wrong with a youthful edge. Ain't nothing wrong with the pops of color. Ain't nothing wrong, okay? This is just not her age. You can tell. She looked like she shopped out of Charlotte Russe, Rule 21, Body Central, Wet Seal, Hot Topic, the hair stove. Like, you know what I'm saying? And ain't nothing wrong with having certain elements of that, but not full-fledged tween. It's like she dressed like a tween that's trying to dress like a 20-something-year-old. But this lady is almost 50. And many of the other ladies have youthful elements to their looks. So don't, you know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about the youthful elements. I'm talking about how her whole outfit looked like she finna go to a high school field day. It just says a lot. And we'll talk about that as we get through the episode. Because it's another outfit in this episode that shows her arrested development as well. And I've noticed in her ensembles that there's always something, if not the whole outfit, that implies arrested development. And something about the way she dressed also reminds me of Gizzard Bryant from Real Housewives of Potomac. Anywho, what we get out of this scene with her son and her husband. Her son is a star basketball player at the college that he went to. And, he's continuing his aspirations in that area. He's handsome, looks a lot like her. And her husband is clearly the center of her life. Almost every other thing that comes out of her mouth is about her husband, her man, her man, her man, her man, her man. And every now and again you hear her say something about praying and God, if it's not her man, her man, her man. But what it gives is that she is coming from a over-civilized, pious, religious place. And usually those types of women are conditioned to praise and honor the man in their life more than they are encouraged to praise and honor God. And what tends to happen is that people in general, but particularly they man, will isolate them and influence their crown chakra, which is your vessel to the divine realm, your relationship with your spirituality, whoever you or however you identify and perceive your most high, your higher power, right? And so they encourage their crown chakra, their spiritual practices, to be overactive and over-civilized. And whenever something is excessive, it becomes distorted. And so with the encouraging of over-civilizing and overacting her crown chakra, you then underact and encourage the underactivity of the rest of the chakras, which then distorts her perspective of the Most High, her perspective of her emotions, her perspective of protection. It distorts your entire perspective. And in simple terms, in psychological terms, in plain terms, what that's called is spiritual abuse. And spiritual abuse is much more common than a lot of us are willing to admit and talk about. But not only do I see the spiritual abuse show up for Tasha in that way and how she interacts with her man, but I also see it in how they treat Tamika. And with that being said, because in the scene, it was mostly her setting the tone of him being her man, and her manager, and he just keeps her so busy, and he keep her doing this and that, and she can't do nothing that depresses her or disturbs her energy, and and everything is her man. So yeah, we quickly see a bit of what the issue is, and she also gives us this story of like how they got together and how he approached a man that she was with back in the day, talking about, we ain't doing nothing, but we gonna be doing something because that's gonna be my woman, so you can leave now because that's gonna be my woman. And she think that's so cute, and I know back in the day that a lot of us thought that was so cute, but it really is not. It is a red flag, and it is a sign of control issues. And I'm also trying to see what type of man was she with, and was he just ready to get away from her? Because Rocky do not look threatening, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. So moving on, we over at Tiny House with T.I. and Major and Eris is at the house, and them her two youngest kids. And Major's looking good out here, doing good, all is that and the third. Her little girl is so cute and so talented and so funny and charismatic. She seems like all the best qualities of T.I. and Tiny, and it's amazing. Shout out to Gilzit. And it's all cute and whatnot, and she just kind of like giving a rundown, catching us up to everything that's been going on in her life, court cases on court cases on court cases, and still trying to work on the music thing, touring, doing the thing with Escape, as we can see, and also her still be trying to impress upon her that she don't need to work. Now, Tiny and T.I. have had a similar dynamic as Tasha and Rocky, but I feel like the difference with T.I. and Tiny is that Tiny stands up for herself much more. Tiny has certain things that she will not compromise on, and that is being active in her music and getting her money and, having something to show for herself. Yeah, it's nice to, be, the doting housewife and all this and that, but Tiny enjoys her sense of purpose and passion, and I can definitely respect Tiny for that. And in certain ways, T.I. can be very problematic, but I can, respect him more than the average pig-headed man, because when you hold him to task and don't let up, he will receive it at some point. It can be a journey, but he will receive it at some point, even though, he's still trying to, impress his own ideas, but it's not as pushy, it's not as disrespectful as it used to be. It's not as overbearing and controlling as he used to come off. He seems to be much more respectful of Tiny in more ways than one than he was before. So yeah, all that going on. Now let's get to the nitty-gritty of the whole situation. So they get to the meeting between Escape and SWV for them to discuss their ideas, discuss how they want to do it, their anticipations, their nervousness, all of that. And everything was happy-go-lucky until Tasha entered the chat. Until Tasha entered the situation. And even when they first started off the conversation, things started off very exciting, enthusiastic, everybody putting out their ideas. Not to mention, Tamika was laying out a lot of great, innovative, unique ideas. One being where they sing, both groups sing on an Escape song and both groups sing on a SWV song, popcorn like that. Like a mashup, crossover, cover, track, remix, all that. And the stage blocking positions and all of that. Some really great ideas that Tamika was throwing out. And everybody was really excited over it. So I find it very fresh that Tasha then chimes in with a whole bunch of negativity following up, right? Interesting. How convenient, right? So she's talking about, I'm not excited. We got drama going on. We got things that we gotta deal with. Okay. Yeah. So be an adult and deal with it. You're gonna do it or you ain't. And Tasha basically goes about saying that in a much more wise and motherly, tender type way, but also blunt and straight to the point. You gotta grow up, because Tasha is up here. That's why I said her Arrested Development shows in her clothes. It shows in a multitude of ways, but you can see it in her clothes and how she dresses herself and how she carries herself, because you can tell that she is holding on to stuff that went on when they were teenagers. And it's like, girl, Has nothing clicked in your head? Like, have you learned nothing over all of these years for you to be able to let that go? But it's definitely on that mama. It is definitely on that mama. Like, the mama is even the root of Xscape's problems, low-key, high-key. And we're gonna talk about that in just a sec, but SWV basically has to get on them. Like, we figured out our stuff. We don't really talk like that in regular time. We just show up, take care of business, do what we gotta do, and leave. Like, it don't have to be all of it. It's just like working a regular job. You may not like everybody that you work with, but you're not finna go up there, you know, pitching a fit about every little thing. Oh, I can't go stock the groceries on aisle 5 because Jan is over there. And you know, me and Jan got issues. So I can't stock the groceries. I can't stock the products on aisle 5 until Jan leave off of aisle 5. I don't know if I can clean that mess up on aisle 11 because Terry is down there. And you know, Terry pissed me off when we was in 6th grade. He wasn't sharing none of his bubble gum with me. So if y'all want me to go clean that mess on aisle 11, y'all gonna have to tell Terry to go home first. Like, you sound dumb. You sound dumb. You sound petty. You sound childish, miserable, manipulative, and fucking weak. Like, y'all, I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? Light, love, and healing to everybody in need. But Tasha is getting the business because for years, people have given her grace, and it seems like the grace ain't did nothing but created a monster. But they conclude that scene with Xscape agreeing that they're going to have to get their ducks in a row and they're going to have to clear up some things and establish a new way of handling their issues and going forward. So then we get a kind of quick montage letting us see basically kind of like a juxtaposition to what Xscape has going on right now, which, you know, they have had some performances and stuff like that, but it's been very up, down, up, down, up, down, much like their internal relationships and everything. But then we get this montage of SWV, they touring, they taking fun little videos on the plane and through the airport. They going to Africa to perform. They are unified and bonding off of one common goal and one common interest. Passion, purpose, performance. Boom, pow, pow, boom, shakalaka. Get in the bag. Being happy, making a living. Like, letting us see, one, it's possible for groups to, female groups at that, it's possible for women groups to come together, have their issues, and get through them, and be successful and happy all at the same time. And I'm here for it. So, Candy have a little scene with her family. And it's just, you know, kind of more of the same, you know, picking up with her family. We know about this. We see this on Atlanta, and it's just, you know, giving more indication about, you know, what's to come with the group, what they're working on with the group, and the issues with the group, and all that good stuff. So, we're just gonna kind of kick on through that because it kind of gives a little bit more intel on Candy and Tasha's relationship. But I am so tired of their beef. Like, they always have beef. They've always had beef. They gonna always have beef. So yeah, but we'll talk about their stuff more so when we get to the second episode review. House of Never. We're gonna skip on to Mama Glow House. Before I talk about Tasha's outfit, I want to go ahead and get into the conversation. You can instantly see that Mama Glow has already chosen a side. You can see the truth and effect of Tamika saying that Tasha is her favorite. And which I feel like the favorite is not actually the favorite. They are only favored because they are more than likely easier to deal with for that particular parent. Or that parent is a narcissist and they just see themselves in that child. And because they lack self-control, they see something easy, their child, and themselves. And so they externally project that micromanaging behavior and they make that child their pet. They make that child their carbon copy. And if there is both the child being easy to manipulate, them seeing themselves in that child, and them being jealous of another child that they have, or just having a certain amount of disdain and discomfort in another child that they have, they will use the child that they've made their pet, the fave, to go at the other child. And they make themselves look like a middleman, even though they actively gang up with their pet child, against the child that they don't favor that much. And that's exactly what we saw here in this scene. Mama Glow is completely looking over everything that Tasha has done and everything that Tasha has said, and is reprimanding and trying to hold Tamika accountable for everything she said and did, even though Tamika's feelings are valid. Now, what I will say, and she did say in her elaboration on the subject on her YouTube page that she did apologize. Her daughters confirmed that she did apologize to Tasha for the "if you had to ask the kids" comment and all that. So yeah, I did kind of feel like, apologize to her for that, because it is pretty clear that she has body image issues, and even though that may not have been your intent and you was just saying some shit off the cuff, and I get what Tamika was saying when she said that it's a figure of speech. It's not a figure of speech per se. It's a very common saying. So it's something that comes to mind instantly when somebody says, "kiss my ass." Just like if somebody insults you and you don't have nothing better to say, what instantly comes to your mind to say is "yo mama." Even if you don't know that person mama, you may not, mean their mama no harm or know nothing that's really going on with their mama. But because that's so common, it's a reflex if you ain't got nothing else to say, "yo mama." Or if you just don't feel like it, "yo mama." You even say that to your siblings and y'all got the same mama. You know what I'm saying? So I can believe Tamika probably ain't really mean nothing by it. She really wasn't thinking. But at the same time, that could be the issue. You wasn't thinking enough. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you can't expect somebody to keep considering you so much when you've gone through life disregarding them and being inconsiderate towards them. To have that much of an expectation for Tamika at this point is abuse. Just like on Potomac. And, certain things that Candace says in general, but particularly the white looking ass comment, just real quick, because, I don't too much talk about that show over here. But anywho, policing Candace's response at that point on the reunion was abuse. Because Candace has taken so much abuse at this point that her response, no matter how irrational, is rational, because what the do you expect? You can't sit up here and keep expecting her to care about your feelings when you have never shown a fuck to give about hers. So expecting her to and trying to police her reactions at this point is more abuse. Period. And that's the same thing that was going on with Tamika. And that's interesting too, because we don't see Candace's mama pit her and her sister against each other, but we have seen Candace's mama mentally abuse her and emotionally abuse her and gaslight her and all that. So it's very interesting how they're trying to demonize Tamika for finally speaking her truth and for being loud about it and for standing up for herself. The same way Candace is often demonized and villainized for speaking her truth loudly and standing up for herself. Only here we also have spiritual abuse in the equation, because they are using God and the Bible and religion and all of that to justify their actions and to gaslight and manipulate Tamika, which is trash. And all of this leads up to Tamika in frustration and in fed upness blurting out that, because she's saying that you don't never defend me. You always on her side. When she do something to me, you silent about it, just like when you were silent about her and Rocky stealing my money. So Tamika blurts it out that through trying to accumulate some royalty checks, she was misinformed and her money ended up being misappropriated, embezzled, stolen by Rocky and Tasha. And I absolutely believe it. Not only because of how Tamika said it and her reaction, her functionality through the whole thing, but the amount of apathy that her mama and Tasha had when she said it and as she was breaking down in the moment told me everything that I needed to know. Because a lot of the time, and we can give another Potomac reference, you see how emotional and taken aback Chris was that Gizzard would accuse him of something so heinous? Because Chris is an emotionally available person. And he cares deeply about the people that he cares about. Okay? I myself, I'm emotionally available when necessary. I do a great job at poker facing my emotions when I want to and when I need to. But I'm loud about who I love and what I love. I love out loud. So and I've had a situation where a former friend of mine was trying to accuse me of trying to push up on a very close friend of mine's boyfriend. And because I care about that particular friend so much, I'm like hurt as fuck that you would fucking even think to open your mouth to say something like that, to think that or even try to paint the picture that I would do something like that to her of all people. Like, really? To her? Now, I'm human. I ain't perfect. And I may have pushed up on a girl or two's boyfriend that was random to me, but not my best fucking friend who's been there for me through thick and thin. What? So yeah, saying something like that about me, let alone saying that I'm committing such an act against a close friend of mine, I was emotional as fuck in my response of, what? Absolutely not. Are you serious? What? No, I would never do something like that. Oh God, like, I love you too much to do something to you like that. Now, granted, there are sociopathic individuals that can do all of that and still be lying. However, there are inconsistencies here because Tasha is very emotional to the point of being emotionally unstable and emotionally irrational a lot of the time. So you say you care so much about your sister and family and all of this, and for a while, we've seen that be evident in certain ways that you handle her and interact with her and all that. But here, she yells out in agony and despair and distraughtness that you stole her money. You and your husband stole her money, and that she feel like you and your mama are ganging up on her and always ganging up on her. But you are so fuckless in your response and more concerned with making her look crazy than trying to prove your love, let alone your love for her enough to not have done such a thing. You're guilty. And Mama Glow, you in on it. Because in real life, for whatever reason, y'all don't like Tamika like that. Y'all like what y'all are able to get out of her. Y'all like what she's been able to do for you and how she's been willing to give her power away to y'all. But y'all don't fuck with her for real. And y'all don't fuck with her enough to allow her money to be stolen and to potentially be put in y'all's pockets. And that is absolutely what I believe. And I absolutely believe Tamika. And I'm trying to see if I want to roll on over into the second episode, because not a whole lot happened on the second episode. So yeah, I think we're gonna roll on over into it. Okay, so all of a sudden, now, as Tamika done, told her side of the story and everything, Mama Glow is throwing shade and talking mess behind her back, saying it, whispering to Tasha that Tamika is jealous of her and all this other foolishness. You wicked and you wrong, Mama. You wicked and you wrong. And I hope you looking back on this with egg on your face, praying to Jesus or whoever it is that you pray to for forgiveness and redemption and repenting, because you wrong. And as far as I'm concerned, you going to hell. You going to hell. Because just like the Bible say that kids need to respect the parent, it also say that the parent needs to respect the child and not provoke and abuse the child or neglect the child. And you've done all of that, Mama Glow. You've done all of that. And we've been able to see it on camera. Now, Mama Glow started talking about turn the cameras off. Now, you was fine with all of that other stuff being shown, but now that she spilling the real tea, now you want them to turn the cameras off. So Tamika and her daughter are, preparing to leave, trying to leave. They all outside. The cameras have kind of separated themselves, but they from a distance still got the camera on them and you can still hear them. Now, once again, and I'm glad I got knowledge on body language, but also if you got emotional intelligence, you could pick up on this as well. They done followed this girl to her car. If she's so wicked, if she lying, and all this and that, if she is lying and you can't get through to her to a point where, you feel like she's intimidating right now, you feel like she's disrespecting you and all this and that and the third, why are you following her to her car? Why not just let her leave and cool off? Because that's what you do when you care about somebody and you see the situation getting too heated and you see them at a point where they're so wrapped up in their emotions that they're swelling. You let them be. Like they said, you really love somebody, you let them go and calm down. Because if you truly don't have the intent to harm, but you hear them yelling, you hurting me, you hurt me like this, you did this to hurt me, I'm in pain, I'm hurting. Even if you don't feel like you did what they say you did, if your intent is truly not to harm, you will just take your hands off of it. Because if you just back up and take your hands off of it and stop talking, ain't no way you can hurt them like that, right? It ain't nothing you can say because your mouth is closed that'll hurt them. It ain't nothing you can do because you're not walking toward them, you're not touching them or nothing that can hurt them. And the closer you get to them, the louder they get, expressing pain, but you keep walking towards them. But yet you want to convince somebody that you have no intent to harm. Yeah, no. And you want to convince us that Tamika is the aggressor, Tamika is disrespectful, Tamika is wicked, Tamika is like possessed. No. Tamika is sick of your shit. Tamika has been abused. She's realizing the abuse and she is trying to free herself, and she is yelling out of pain. She's yelling out of fear and not feeling safe. And it showed in her body language, because as she's trying to get into her car to leave, they are constantly walking towards her. She is still yelling her point. You knew they stole my money. I tried to talk to you. You always take her side. I'm tired, mama. I'm tired, mama. I'm tired, mama. The whole time she's yelling it, she's backing away. She done backed away, so she almost made it to the end of the driveway. She's backing away. Y'all are walking toward her, trying to micromanage her emotions, trying to micromanage her activity, trying to deflect when you realize that it's not working, and trying to cuss the camera people out for doing their job. Speaking of which, you were fine being on this show. You are fine being on camera as long as you can make Tamika look bad in peace and mock her and taunt her and shit. But now the camera people are wrong for recording her spilling the tea on you. So you're telling us everything that we need to know. You're letting us know about your narcissistic, sociopathic tendencies. You're letting us know that you're wicked and you are, bad mother. Shout out to Iyala Van Zant. Bad mother. Bad. You don't get called a good mother just because you provide. It's more to being a parent than providing. There's emotional and spiritual work to be done as well, and mental work to be done as well. And like Taj said in this episode, what are you communicating to the daughter that you're not choosing? What are you not choosing in that daughter? Bad mother. Bad mother, because she didn't ask to be here. You laid down, made her, gave birth to her. So it's on you to do what you need to do for her. Not just buy stuff, not just pay for stuff, but bond with her, get to know her, embrace her, and help her stabilize the best and the worst parts of her. You don't get to weaponize her flaws against her to make yourself feel better, because that make you look delusional. Like her standing up there yelling at Tamika, you need therapy, you need therapy. You just now noticing that your daughter may need therapy? What were you doing during the teenage years when signs of whether a person is going to need therapy or not, which everybody needs therapy. So, what you saying? Everybody needs therapy. If you alive, living, got breath in your body, at some point you gonna need therapy. You gonna need therapy for something, because life be life. Just like sometimes we don't know how to handle the bad, sometimes we don't know how to handle the good. We don't know how to just allow things to be great. We don't know how to take compliments. We don't know how to take wins. And I see that with Tasha too. Tasha does not know how to let things just be beautiful. Just let things be great. Just let things be. She don't know how to just let things be. So she need therapy too. She need therapy because she got this strange man whispering stuff in her ear, and she can't make a decision to form a sentence without him whispering in her ear, feeding her bullcrap to say, like, and that's a reflection of you, Mama Glow. That's a reflection of you making her your pet, micromanaging her. She don't know what to do with herself. She don't know how to stand on her own. That's why she want to go solo, because she desperate for power. That's why she want to bully her little sister, because she feel deprived of control. But that's also why she don't feel like she can actually do that without having a man micromanaging her, and without using her group members as a prop and as a stepping stool and as a freaking doormat. Because she don't really have the authentic confidence in herself to really set herself out there, let alone to even appear likable. because she's so dependent on other people protecting her image for her and leading her down wrong paths of delusion because you constantly telling her that she right about everything and she not right about everything. She is wrong about a lot of shit, just like you, Mama Glow. And let's go ahead and fast forward to Tamika telling Candy and Tiny about the blowout and everything that happened, and she, opened up the voicemail that Mama Glow sent her. Lady, how the freak is you gangster gospel disciple out here on your daughter? Somehow if you disrespect your sister again, I'ma kick your tail, and you ain't got God in you. Baby, where's the God in you? Because I sure don't feel it coming through this here message. I don't feel it coming through for Tamika at all. I sense all of the devil coming through you. For Tamika, like, what is he giving? Do she remind you of the daddy? You got disdain for the daddy? Did she keep in touch with the daddy after y'all split? Either way, it's not justification. I'm just trying to make it make sense. But I also feel like Mama Glow is jealous of Tamika. If it ain't nothing but, because this will happen too. Older women from a particular time period where they didn't have as many rights as we do now have a lot of jealousy towards more outspoken women, even outspoken women in their own generation, because they don't have the courage enough and didn't have the rights enough to speak freely, to stand up for themselves, to say what was on their mind without being beat down and having their voice stomped out or being shamed and harmed and all of that. So when they come across other women who are outspoken, free-spirited, strong-natured, sexually liberated, use their voice, especially those that use their voice, not just to sing, but also to stand up for themselves and to speak the truth. They can't stand it, even when it's their daughters, especially when it's their daughters. Because they don't know what to do with it, because they don't know what to do with themselves. It's a part of themselves that they have neglected and that they have demonized for survival in certain cases, and also as a result and response to being abused. So that's why I say light, love, and healing still. I do still have some empathy for Tasha and the mama, because ain't no telling what they've been through specifically that make them so wicked and miserable. But at the same time, that's a decision that they're making. They are choosing to respond to what they've been through in that way. So don't let people use their trauma as an excuse to treat you like shit. It's an explanation. It's not an excuse. When the excuse becomes a justification for bad behavior, that's when abuse comes in. And that's what we got here. A whole lot of abuse going on. Tamika is trying to free herself, and they are doing everything that they can to bully her into her not freeing herself. We usually see this with domestic violence relationships, when it's like romantic or sexual relationships. And a lot of people tend to not have the same sympathy for the victim in those situations. But it's the same dynamic. It's the same dynamic. So I'm just putting it out there. If you can have sympathy for Tamika or anybody like Tamika that's in an abusive situation with their family members, and their family members use money, religion, and respectability politics and all this other foolishness to manipulate and abuse them and try to silence them and try to micromanage them and all of that to keep them under their thumb and keep them under control, and you can understand the victim's response and like going back and forth trying to get their approval and trying to free themselves and trying to have some peace. Because Tamika says in episode 2 also, when talking to Taj, that the reason why she used to go along to get along with Tasha so much is because that's one of the only ways that she could get her mother's approval, which is what I thought in the first place, because they were mentioning how Tamika has gone back and forth with Candy because of Tasha. And I was thinking to myself, that's probably because when she get home, it's different. Like, y'all can disagree with Tasha and then go back to your respective place. Like, hear her voice, hear her noise in that moment, but then you go back to wherever you at and you ain't got to deal with it. Tamika got to go back home with it, and she got to deal with her mama and probably other family members shaming her, gaslighting her, beating up on her because she had a mind of her own and didn't go along to get along with her sister. So sometimes the victim will go back and forth because they are trying to get some sort of peace, because they are tired of fighting. They're tired of being harassed. They're tired of being chased. They're tired of the abusers trying to micromanage their emotions and micromanage their responses and demonize them, because it turns into not just a conflict with this one person. It turns into a conflict with a slew of people and having to defend yourself to a whole crowd of people because this one person does now went to all of these people villainizing you and demonizing you and making you out to be some bully or some demon. So I just said all that to say, once again, if you can have sympathy for a person that's in a family abusive situation and understand why they go back and forth, use that same understanding when it comes to a romantic or, intimate partner relationship that has that domestic violence and all of that going on. It's the same thing. The victim goes back and forth because they are often trying to get some type of peace because they tired of fighting. They tired of being stalked. They tired of looking over their shoulder. They tired of defending themselves to everybody about their image and going up against all these other people that's jumping in the situation and that the abuser is bringing into the situation to gang up on them and bully them and isolate them into bowing down and stomping out their voice. It's a lot. So, and child, another Potomac reference. Just like people be like, oh, Candace and Wendy are pick-me's and all this and that. Not necessarily. When somebody abuses you, it's a natural response to bow down at certain points or try to get their approval or their trust at certain points because you are desperate for peace and you're tired of being tormented. You're tired of the confusion and the chaos. You're just trying to establish some sort of peace for the moment. So this was also a meeting for them to come together and baby. When Tamika was talking to Tiny, it's gonna be everything in my power not to say Tamika and Tamika because they got the same name, and I'm used to T.I. and them and the folks on that show calling Tiny Tamika. So yeah, when Tamika was talking to Tiny and Candy about the situation, Tiny was cracking the fuck up. And I can relate to Tiny being one of those people that kind of laugh at the wrong time because I find audacity humorous. So sometimes a person can be being super disrespectful and way out of line, and I will find their audacity to even do such a thing funny. And it may seem like I'm laughing at the situation, but it's really, you're not laughing at the situation. You are laughing at the audacity of this person to really be saying what the fuck they saying and believing they own bullcrap like this here. And also Candy's faces in that moment were hilarious, as they tend to be also, because that Candy is probably thinking in her head like, you finally see the light. Like all these years we've been trying to show you, we've been trying to tell you, all these years you've been trying to ride with her. Dang, that sound reminiscent to Candace from Potomac all over again though, cause we was trying to tell her that ain't your friend, she don't see it for you, she gonna come for you. Tis, so yeah, Child Tiny was cracking up. Then Tasha come in, it's a dark cloud all over again because once again they was vibing. Tamika was in her feelings, but they were kind of like some cheer uppers for her, if you will. The vibe was popping. Tiny had made some drinks. She made them sherbet mimosas. Okay, such a Cancer thing to make. My mama be making them. She a Cancer, but they had all of that going. Tasha walk in and child, and this how Tasha a handful because Candy even had to have her little taste, and she don't like drinking during filming and stuff. But Tasha come in, and Tasha get this whole spiel talking about how they need to stop sweeping stuff under the rug, and of course she got to be self-righteous. I ain't heard from her, she ain't apologized to me or my mama. Girl, fuck you and your mama. Anyway, she talking about all this stuff that they need to talk about, and then when Tamika tried to talk about it with her, all of a sudden now she don't want to talk about it. It's through private. She don't want to talk about it in front of them. Girl, you're full of crap. The only reason she didn't want to talk about it in that moment because there wasn't nobody there that was gonna kiss her ass. She ain't have her mama there to kiss her ass and defend her. She ain't have Rocky there to kiss her ass and defend her. Candy, of course, wasn't gonna kiss her ass. Tiny is always a middleman. She ain't gonna do nothing but laugh. And Candy will, say the truth about what she see. And Tamika is not in the space to bow down to her. So she didn't have nobody in that moment to fill her head up with bullshit. So therefore, she didn't want to have the conversation in that moment. And we have to clock her too for saying, oh, how disrespectful you were to my mama and this and that, like using the term my mama. Like that's not Tamika mama also. So that just says everything right there. Y'all exclude her in more ways than one. You got a problem. You got a serious problem. It's something wrong with you. And you think that shit is cute. And it's not. It's super duper not. And you bucked up over being called Beyonce when nobody's calling you Beyonce in that way. And that's kind of why I want them to stop calling her Beyonce, because it's an insult to Beyonce. Beyonce, bitch. You got the David Ruffin syndrome. You got the Flash with no Midnight Falcon syndrome. And that's why you really mad, because don't nobody want to be your Midnight Falcon. And girl, that's your own fault. Like, shut up. Then, once again, everything in her mouth is well, she didn't say my man, but the vibe was giving my man, because they started trying to get stuff set up. Tiny is also making it clear that her man, as in Tasha, is, you know, their management teams in general are not doing what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to be getting bookings and stuff like this here, and ain't nothing popping off and going the way they're supposed to. It's all this drama, it's all this nonsense and pettiness. Like, what is it giving? Here Tasha goes, I got to pray on it. And Candy is like, yeah, she got to go talk to her brain. She got to go get her answers from her brain, which ultimately is Rocky. And then we get a clip, her trying to do a confessional. Can't even do a confessional without him walking up, whispering in her ear, telling her bullcrap to say. And even the producers know he ain't sincere, and they want him out the way. Said Tasha free. Tasha, set yourself free. Now don't judge me. I know that song is way out of my range and out of my league. I just want Tasha to be free, so that she can allow everybody else to be free. Because see, that's the problem. She's imprisoned, and she feels imprisoned within herself. Therefore, she can't handle being in the presence of free people. Po thing. And that's honestly why I hope that Tamika can turn, you know, transmute and redirect her anger and vitriol, you know, if it's vitriol that she has, because I know she has hurt and anger for Tasha. So I hope that she can find a way to transmute that to forgiveness enough to just step back from Tasha. Don't hate her, don't try to fight her, don't try to be her friend or nothing, just let that be, and focus on getting her grievances out to her mama, because her mama is the problem. Her mama is the problem with what's wrong with Tasha. Tasha is messed up because of their mama. And we're gonna get a daddy some too, because where were you? Okay? Where were you? Okay? So, and you know, like I said, I don't want Tamika to get to, like Taj told her, make sure you're taking care of yourself, because that mama is wicked. And whatever Tamika says to her, it needs to be specifically just to get it off her chest. Not to change her mind about nothing, not to convince her of nothing, not to get an apology, simply to get it off of her chest. And then let it be. And just have that understanding for herself that it's not even Tasha's fault. Like, pray for Tasha. Like, Tasha gotta pray for everything. Pray for Tasha. Okay? Just pray for Tasha. Separate yourself from her. Pray for her. And get what you need to say out to your mama. And just focus on your own healing, girl. And focus on, you know what I'm saying? Making a name for yourself. Because she definitely got the potential. So, we gon' I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I wanted to say on their whole toxic situation. Okay, yeah, I ain't got much to say on it. Okay, so we gonna go ahead and basically we can get ready to wrap this up, because it ain't too much of nothing else to really talk about just yet. These first 2 episodes have been setting the tone, and just because I'm saying it ain't too much to talk about don't mean that it's boring at all. It's not boring. It's just, you know, I have to have something to say. I don't just speak to speak. I have something to say. So that's why I said it's not gonna be like verbatim. It's gonna be stuff where I actually have something to say. So Lily gives us a story of like her coming from poverty. She, well, you know, I don't want to just say poverty. That's an umbrella term that I'm using, so don't take that, you know, as an insult or anything. But basically, you know, she wasn't raised with no silver spoon. Life wasn't no crystal style, okay? And she got pregnant at 15. And I love that her folks didn't demonize her or kick her out or nothing like that. She got 2 part-time jobs because, of course, she was too young to work a full-time job. And her folks, her mama, helped her out with her kid while she would work. Did your thing with SWV. Got her coin, made her bag. And first thing she bought was a mattress, because she ain't had now. And so she had always had that on her mind that whenever she got some money, she was going to buy herself a mattress, and she went king size. Shout out to her. We love that. I told y'all we love that about her. Then we also have Taj talking about, you know, her family dynamics and all, and her having like pretty good strong bonds, but also feeling like she needed to be more present for her sons. But even though she kind of has like worked through the healing of that guilt, she still sees like the benefits, whereas they are very independent And it seems like they had a pretty good understanding for the most part. So somebody was talking to them, and I'm sure it was Taj. Because looking at, how she handles situations on here and how I've seen her on other things and how she handles situations, I can see her being a very communicative parent. So even though she may have not been physically present, I can see her being very verbal and making sure that her kids understand that she loves them, she's there for them, listening to them, letting them talk to her, all this, that, and the third. So it shows in how they interact with her now. Like when they saw her, they ran up to her, hugging her, all of that. And she was like, y'all hiding something? Well, what's going on? But nah, like that's a reflection of her. See Mama Glow? You see that? And then we have Coco. Coco talking about when she first started SWV, her mama was very pious, religious, black Christian lady. If it wasn't God, Jesus, gospel, it was the devil. So she told her mama that she was in a gospel group, and then she had to go back when the contracts and the real gigs started coming in and tell her, nah, it's R&B. And her mama was able to be bought, basically. Her mama didn't too much change her tune, no pun intended, until Coco bought her a car. And a lot of folks probably think that's real cute. They probably think that's cute. That's not cute. That's sad. And it kind of goes back to that toxic black Christian thing that Mama Glow got going on a little bit. And I'm in no way saying that all black Christians are toxic. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the roots of Christianity has sprouted toxic fruit. And a part of that toxic fruit is a great amount of people, a great amount of black people, not only using religion to subscribe and perpetuate a very sinful idolization type of patriarchy, honoring men, idolizing men, praising men, thinking that you're praising God, but also having all this judgment and, fights against everything until the right price comes up. And it's so crazy and infuriating and disgusting to me that so many Christians in general, but we specify black Christians because that's what we're dealing with right here, and I'm black. So what I know mostly is black Christians. I know some white, I know quite a few white Christians too, but what I know best is black Christians. And it's just also that you would think with the knowledge of all the history and everything that certain things black people just wouldn't do. But lo and behold, we're here in 2023, and you got black people that still think it's cute to dick ride in the name of Jesus and pimp out your kids and shame your kids until they're able to buy themselves out of your verbal abuse and out of your spiritual abuse. Because that's what it basically comes off like. Like they have to buy themselves out of their spiritual abuse. Everything's transactional. Everything's transactional and everything is conditional despite what the Bible entails. Despite what the spirituality is actually supposed to entail. Which is unconditional love, mutual love, respect, dignity, integrity. Well, seems like a whole lot of one-sided, transactional, conditional shit. Which is what do they call that? Abuse. So yeah, we did a conversation with Coco about her sons, and with one of her sons. Her sons are in music. Her sons look exactly like her, and they are beautiful. What I also find beautiful, okay, I gave them a lot just then. We're gonna get them some good stuff too. It is refreshing to see black Christians embrace, show respect to, and all of that, and interact with their LGBTQ plus family members, let alone their son, grandson, freely, and interacting with them like they're a human being, like, they're normal parts of society, normal part of life, normal part of the family. So that says a lot. That says a whole lot of great things about them. We love to see it because your boy was beautiful. His eyebrows were laid to the gods. His hands were given all that they needed to have been gave because those nails were given all that they had to have been gave. And that skin from H2T was popping. And your boy got a nice voice on him, child. So they up here kind of wanting to convince him, and I see them also with good intent, projecting fear on him. But projecting fear nonetheless. The grandma like, oh, you don't know what you want to do. You're just 19. Coco like, I just wish I would do something else. The music industry is not it. I wish I would have done more. What if you get on down the line and then you want to do something else and da-da-da-da. And it's fine to have that conversation with him and just basically let him know to have a mind of his own, a sense of commitment, and understand his options at the same time. That's what I feel like, they were trying to convey to him the best way that they knew how. My only thing with that is, because like I said, the projection of fear, like, you want to kind of remove your own feelings away from it. And I know that can be difficult, as a parent. I'm not a parent, but I'm saying as a parent, if you are a parent, I can see it being difficult to separate your feelings from what's going on with your kid, because that's your kid and you feel for your kid, right? So, but also realize what they have. They have more than what you had because you fought for them to have it. And, other elders and all of that, near and far, fought for them to have it. He has much more at his disposal now. He is young. So not only does he have so many more options than what you had, he also has time. So he can commit to his music right now. And if he gets on down the line and decided he don't want to do that no more, so what? So be it. He could do something else. He can do something else. There is nothing wrong with it. And I think that's a show of the generation gap also, because a lot of the older generation see something wrong with change. Like, they fear change, so they see something wrong with when a person wants to change what they're doing in life, or wants to change how they're moving, or wants to change almost anything about themselves. And so you kind of have to come out of that mentality with it. Even if he does change his mind on down the line, it's okay. Because for one, not only does he have the time and the options as, someone in his generation, but he also has the access being your child. And he has the money, he has the resources being your child. So you have the knowledge and wisdom. Just help him set up his backup plans. Help him get some businesses started in whatever it is that he's interested in. Or, if not business, just impress upon him, my dude, if you like being a waiter, ain't nothing wrong with being a waiter and doing your music at the same time. Ain't nothing wrong with, if you like to cook, okay. In meantime, in between time, when you're not, rejuvenating yourself, resting in between, working on your stuff, be working on recipes. Let's see what we can do, learning about putting a cookbook together. That's something that he can do in the meantime, in between time, when he's not doing his primary focus, which is music. Like, it's possible, and it's very much so encouraged this day and age that he have multiple things going on, and to be adaptable. At some point, he might want to do something different, and that's okay. You just make sure that you constantly reaffirm that, okay, as long as you're passionate about it, you show some passion for it, and you show a sense of commitment to it, we can do it. We can help you. We can find the people to assist you and guide you in doing it. So yeah, that was a good refreshing scene. And real quick, Tasha and Candy's beef is brought up more fluently in this episode. Tasha goes on this little soliloquy about how Candy always been jealous of her, and Candy stopped her solo career from launching, and all this, that, and the third. Honestly, I feel like there is a featureism type thing going on, because I heard some other people say this too, but it's the same thing that I've been thinking. Because Tasha was known as the big girl, and fat phobia is real. Not only is fat phobia real, but misogynoir is real as well. And women, dark-skinned black women that have Candy's features, and Candy was naturally slim. And what I mean by Candy's features is kind of like more narrow, slender type features in comparison to Tasha's more round and more broad features, which both are beautiful. But in the entertainment industry, fashion industry, and much of society, a lot of people don't see that because they aren't taught to see that. They're taught to see Candy as the attractive one and Tasha as the fat one. Not to mention the time period and the audience that they are marketed towards. On some pop shit, they would have put Tiny closer to the front. But because they're more urban, R&B, they put Candy in the front, Slim, and then, Tamika, Tiny is kind of secondary to that, then Tamika, then Tasha. Even though, all I'm saying, all of that, but for marketing purposes, look at the photos and stuff like that, they tend to have them next to each other, but on certain things, you see Candy right at the front, you see Tamika kind of off to the side of her, and then you see the other two like towards the back, and that's what that is. Using that featurism type thing to market them. And I can very well see how that plays a part. And mind you, I think the issue, and this is not to say that Candy is perfect, because I've called out some flaws of Candy's in previous videos that I've done, and that is that sometimes she does come off like she's so used to getting compliments that she don't know when to listen to someone tell her about her flaws. And Candy can come off fuckless. She can come off very nonchalant to a fault at times. And when you about the business, it can also cause you to come off as insensitive, especially dealing with somebody like Tasha, who is very sensitive. And also has a lot of insecurities because of how society and people respond to her. And granted, that's not Candy's fault, but it's just what it is. And I think that all of that, on top of, we've heard the many stories of men in the industry not knowing what to say out their mouth, and know what they doing when they say divisive comparison stuff out their mouth amongst young girls, and they stir up drama between them for their own entertainment, and also to make it easier for them to get into whoever's draws they're trying to get into. So there's that. And that's why I said, Tasha, why does it seem as though you have not grown at all? Like, you have chosen the things that you want to listen to and latch onto so that you can be mad, and so that you can continue on this drama and this beef, because you have your own personal insecurities and your own personal problems with Candy, and it really ain't even got nothing to do with Candy. You're really mad at yourself, and you're mad at your mama, and you're probably mad at your daddy too, and you're probably mad at men in general. But because the way that your environment handles their religion, you have been taught and had it beat in your brain that you cannot be mad at men, that you cannot raise up on men. You can't go against your man. Because that would be blasphemous, right? That's what idolization says. When you're idolizing humans, you can't go against them, because that's blasphemous. Ain't that why y'all demonizing your sister? So yeah. And on Candy's end, she just like, I don't know, like, why I'm always blamed for everything. I don't know what her issue is, what her issue is with me. And Ty says it plainly. She jealous. She mad at you because she can't be you. She can't be where you at. She saw herself being further than that just based off of her voice, but it's more than just the voice. Candy is actually likable. She has a great business mind. She can commit. She is present. She is independent. Not just monetarily, but energetically, personally, spiritually. She's independent. So she can function on her own. She can navigate for herself. She can speak for herself. She can be led by herself. So she don't have to worry about nobody being a middleman and making her look bad and telling her to do stuff, putting bugs in her ear and batteries in her bag, making her do foolish things that end up making her look bad and ruining her reputation. Like, tisk. And also, I heard somebody else say this too, like, Tasha, you older than Candy. You're 3 years older than Candy. So, to my understanding, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but Tasha was a young adult while Candy was a teenager, because she's 3 years older. Not to mention, don't it make you the oldest of the entire group? But you are the most childish and emotionally and mentally stunted and spiritually stunted, but you think you so smart and you think you got so much right and entitlement to do and say certain shit just because you the oldest, but you act like a little ass baby. And you can't form a sentence without your man whispering in your ear, making you look like a fool. Tisk. But light, love, and healing to all of them, that whole situation. Pray for Tasha, pray for Tamika, and Mama Glow, you need a whooping. You need a big whooping. You need to be laid over somebody's lap and spanked with a switch off the tree. Period. So, With all that being said, child, if I do say so myself, I have milked this cow dry. And I'm thoroughly appreciative of the exchange of vibes. And if you're feeling synchronized, please like, share, and subscribe so that you can be one of the first to be back through these queenly quotas for the next time. And be sure to bless my comment section with your questions and conversations. And as always, I bid you all light, love, healing, and liberation. Emphasis on liberation. Mwah.